All right, we're back for part two of a podcast, and it was a week after the first one aired. I mean, that's a big thing for us. Usually, we kind of roll right through. I get too excited, etc. But no, we waited, and we've got some more content as a result. I'm coming to you from my hotel once again with the haunted light behind me and the dance troupe in the lobby, and making me very happy to be in my room. And here with me, not in the room actually, but in the pod, we've got the Eagles and we've got the Giants, and we're ready to talk about the AFC side of trades that need to get made. RJ, do you have your trading, brain in? Got your trading hat on?
Yeah, I think I think I think our discussions before the pod have kind of started that fire. So we're definitely get some good ideas tonight.
Pump is primed, and we are ready to roll. So, what we're going to do first is we're actually going to go through the trades that have happened in the last week, just kind of clear the deck, as you'd say, and then we'll circle back to the AFC and AFC and trades we think need to be made from that side of the world. So, let's see. Going back to last week, is the last trade discussed? Because I think the taxi theft was post pod, so it was the Dodson trade, right?
I know the taxi theft was because that was something that was discussed after the pod. Um,
Can't remember. I'll start at my trade, and then we'll work up because I can't remember if we discussed it or not, and if we did, apologies. Um, my big point was I wanted to get about a first value for Chandler if I moved often, moving from a 25 second to a 26 first, and picking up a couple things in the process worked out. So I was happy with it, but the trade was Emmanuel Forbes and the Panthers 25 fourth plus the Jets 26 first for Ty Chandler and the Broncos 25 second. Any thoughts, or should we just keep rolling?
no, I like it. I think it was a great value. Um, Probably for both sides. I know Ty's getting a lot of hype going into camp, so I think that was fantastic. Manuel Forbes is a sneaky good thing. You're probably going to be able to flip for, I don't know, a third once he becomes productive this year again.
Well, yeah, and if Coach Beak is anything, back at the draft, the one player that O'Connell couldn't shut up about was getting Ty Chandler in the ball more. So we'll see what actually happens there. Chiefs didn't waste much time to flip that second round pick from the Broncos you got from me, adding it to DJ Dallas and DJ Turner to pick up Trey Palmer and Chauncey Gardner Johnson from the Saints. So um, basically breaks down a first into a rotation running back and I'd say pretty good upside receiver in a productive offense and a very cheap starting safety. This is the Goose textbook right here. Like these two trades, it's like how does Goose build a team like this? And then you just need the wraparound trade where he sells Trey Palmer for a first, and then it all begins again.
Yeah, I think this is a fantastic trade for Chiefs. I don't have any issue with the value either. Palmer, if I'm guessing by himself, he's probably a third, maybe an early third. Um, Chauncey wasn't productive last year. I know it was injury, but he's also a player in the secondary, so it's one of those that like you need to see the production. You need to know that he's out in the starting lineup before you really want to pay up. So yeah, that's a fantastic value for those two. One's a gamble. One's very likely to be a productive starter on a pretty decent offense.
Yep. Um, and again, Saints is involved in like 90% of these trades, so we'll call it out. Just as at some point we'll circle back again and see. Okay, when Saints started turning his team over last week to 2 weeks from now, what do things look like? Um, but yeah, we've got the Giants 26 first for Wandale Robinson and a Colts 26 fourth. So Colts keeps oscillating between um, draft capital acquisition and player acquisition, but he's doing it his own way, and you gotta love it.
Yeah. I thought this was a pretty all right buy. It can go south depending on how training camp shakes out. Because if he's stuck behind, I don't know. Let's say Slayton comes to form and doesn't have any issues with playing the last year of his contract. Neighbors is the starter, like we assume. Then like it could be Hyatt and Robinson, kind of splitting that like the looks at as the third option. So hopefully Wandale cements himself as the wide receiver 3 there.
I think target-wise, Wandale could have the number 2 or 3 role. But I don't think it's Hyatt, actually. I think it's probably still Slayton who he's like fighting with those targets for.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I see Hyatt as more of like the direct replacement for Slayton. So like that's why I say if Slayton just looks like himself, looks like the guy that's led that team in receiving past 3 years or whatever, like he will just automatically be the number 2 behind Neighbors, and then you'll have Wandale, but Hyatt, like the coaching staff is gonna try to work him in. So like that's my only fear is like, I am the Slayton owner, but for Robinson's sake, hopefully he jumps Slayton in the pecking order.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think Hyatt would take a Slayton role, and so like Robinson's probably going to just be the slot guy.
Yeah.
Or whenever Neighbors is not the slot, Robinson will be the slot. But
Yeah, I want the Giants to adopt the oop-de-oop from Varsity Blues, where they put Neighbors on one side and put 3 receivers on the other and force them to leave Neighbors one-on-one against that corner, putting like Hyatt, Wandale, and Slayton on the other. That would just be fun to watch because, what the hell do you do with a deep threat with Hyatt's speed, a jump ball guy like Slayton, and a gadget guy like Wandale on one side and Neighbors on the other? Like, that would just be a fun offense to watch cook.
Yeah.
Assuming the O-line is better, yes.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's a good offense. Like, you need to get the ball out of your hands in about 3 seconds each play.
Yeah.
And if the line can't give you 3 seconds, which I know would be an improvement for the Giants, but, you're not going to do a whole lot in the league. All right, up to exchange of seconds. Denver's 25 second, still moving around, this time over to the Ravens for their 26 second. And the Saints then paying up a Giants 26 third for KJ Osborne, who I did not realize was no longer on Minnesota. Interesting.
Yeah, he's in the clusterfuck that is the New England wide receiver room.
Yeah. I mean, if Saints wants to gamble, there are far worse gambles in this league for a 3rd round pick. But I don't know, because there's a possibility that he could be wide receiver 6 there.
I think it honestly kind of depends on who the quarterback is. As I feel like if they end up rolling Jacoby out, they're just going to keep the bets all around him. But if they go to May, they might just swap in all the young guns in the room.
If it's May, I can see something of Pop. I'd say Pop. KJ's probably a real thing in a Drake May offense. Polk probably has less of a role than we assume, and Baker probably has a slightly better role. But if it's Brissett, then it's just going to be, the profiles that you see of the wide receivers, that's how they're going to use them. Kendrick's going to be the one. They're going to try to make Polk the 2. Pop will be the slot guy, and then it'll be very cookie cutter, pro offense style.
Did you guys ever play MLB The Show in franchise mode?
Oh, a long time ago.
Yeah. on the PSP in high school.
The New England Patriots this year reminds me of how I tried to build every team there. I would take the stars down to prospects, sign a bunch of replacement level players, and then let the prospects I had growing in my farm system overtake the replacement level guys as they were ready. I feel like this entire Patriots starting offense right now is that replacement level offense. Like Jacoby Brissett is like replacement level quarterback defined. Ramondre Stevenson's had flashes, but due to injury, like that's replacement level for a number one running back. Like Antonio Gibson is replacement level for handcuff running back. Like go top to bottom of this offense. It's like, what can I do to sign as many wide receiver 3, tight end 2s, and RB 2s as possible, put them on a team, and then just start drafting like crazy and hope for the best.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I mean, honestly, they've missed on so many wide receivers that I kind of respect that strategy.
Well, I mean, that was the thing back in the day. If you've heard anything of like, the Patriot way or anything like that, it was not about, value picks. It's about volume picks. So kind of getting back to that and just saying, hey, we're pretty good at identifying players. We're not going to get everyone's head right, but the more shots we get at that, the better off we're going to be.
Yeah, they have 9 wide receivers that we all would know who they are.
Yeah.
And that group is very much we'll see at the end of the preseason. If somebody honestly like acts like they know what's going to happen, they're lying.
And frankly, 2 of those guys might get moved at the end of the preseason for like a conditional 7th round pick.
Mm-hmm.
Would not shock me. All right. Panthers finally moved Leonard Fournette for Lavelle Bailey and getting in return DJ Turner. I mean, I saw Fournette go on the trade bait, but come on, man. And then DJ Reader for a 5th. So I think this is one of those 2 buddies went to a bar, got bored, and decided to trade the things they couldn't trade so the other person could try instead.
Whoever got DJ Reader got the better end of that.
Yep. He could be unemployed by the end of the preseason. He also could just be the nose tackle there.
Yeah. I don't disagree. And if it's not by the end of the preseason, it's probably going to be by about week 6 or 7. But hey, that's out of our season, so who knows?
I mean, with Detroit's line, it's McNeil. Like, that's the point getter. Like, that's not an edge, obviously. Like, Hutchinson is a stud.
And Davenport.
Ew, I just looked at that depth chart. He's assumed a starter there? That's ridiculous.
Look at the depth chart.
No, I did. That's why I'm disgusted by it.
Oof.
That's right. A starting edge could be had from the Giants here.
Speaking of Giants, jumping in and swapping Byron Murphy for Jabril Peppers, corner for a safety. Yeah, I mean, where values are right now, I think this is about right.
I'd much rather have the $10 million safety than the $4 million corner.
Me too.
I mean, that's why you did that.
Yeah.
That's why I did it. Yeah. I mean, I also wanted a third safety. Like, I probably wouldn't have looked at too hard at it, honestly, if I didn't want a third safety.
All right. I did not realize that Bub Means was in threat of being stolen and was getting chopped, but the thought of getting him for a 4th next year was very intriguing to me. So that happened. And then Buccaneers takes that 4th and is 5th next year and picks up Denzel Perryman, who he's a 3rd linebacker there, right?
Before the draft, he was assumed he was assumed a starter in the interior, but I don't think he is anymore. Oh no, he still is. So he's going to be competing with Henley, Neiman, and Coulson. Out of that, Troy Dye, I guess. So
I
out
mean,
of
we
those
assume
five
Colson
people,
is going to get the job, right? It's Harbaugh's
he-
guy.
he's on the NFI right now.
Hmm. I mean, if he ends up being a starter, that's a really cheap starting linebacker points for the year. I know he's pretty old, but
Yeah, I think that's a solid purchase. I thought Chiefs bought him earlier in the offseason. Maybe it was only for like a 4 or something like that. He's just profiting like an extra small pick. But I thought it was good when Chiefs bought him. I still think it's fine when he sells him.
Then Bucks getting rid of Cordell Flott for DJ Turner and a 5th. Turner is, of course, what came back in the Lavelle Bailey and Leonard Fournette trade. It sucks when we're bored like this.
Yeah,
I think the Turner side is way better.
I don't even know who Cordell Flott is. So
I mean, I think whoever traded for him was that Panthers.
mhm.
I think there's hope that he could be the CB2 next to Baker, but I think realistically, he's like maybe their slot corner, and I say maybe because I think they're gonna use who the hell is the safety that I have on my roster? The corner.
Phillips.
I have to pull up my team now.
Well, I can pretend like my team wasn't already up and I don't have it in 3 windows.
Jalen Mills.
Mills, thank you. Yes, the safety from the Pats, I think, is going to be like in that role as well. So I don't know if I wouldn't have invested in Flott personally, although I don't know like DJ Turner's exact role in the defense either. But
Yeah, I mean, depth chart he's a starting corner, so it's fine.
All right, moving on up. Boston Scott in the 4th for Jamal Agnew. I think there's some debate. Is Jamal Agnew on a team right now?
No.
so someone said that he was a free agent, which shocked me, honestly.
Yeah. Because I thought he was in Jacksonville as their return specialist / 4th / 5th receiver. So
No, he is unemployed and he fractured his lower leg last year.
Well, then that's probably about right in the deal.
Oh no, he fractured it in January. Is it January he did it? Yeah, he did it in week 17.
Well, that's not what you're looking for. Maybe it is. I don't know. The Evermorphine trade continues. Byron Murphy going for Garrett Williams and a 4th. So after trading a $10 million safety for a $4 million corner, the $4 million corner is flipped for how much is Garrett Williams?
$472,000.
Rookie on a 2nd year of a 2-year deal and a 4th round pick. Man, that the safety market's tough if that's what you have to do to break down a piece. But you know what?
I like this trade for Panthers.
Yeah, me too. I do think Murphy's like probably going to be pretty productive.
Yep.
But anytime you can shave $4 million off a corner who's likely still also going to start, I think at least Garrett Williams is right. He's in Arizona, right? He's the number 2 in Arizona.
He's the 3. He's probably going to be the nickel. But I still like that. Like, shave $4 million for a guy that's still probably going to be on the field for somewhere 55 to 60% of the time.
Yeah, and getting the pick out of it that you would likely replace a corner with anyways.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, and I'm thinking I'm realizing that we've talked about in past pods where stop making all these corner trades that don't count. So I feel like probably Panthers took that as a challenge to make as many cornerback related trades as possible. So now that I've realized that, we'll just figure out the next thing we trigger people on. But Shaq Griffin in a fourth for Zach Bond.
He bought Shaq Griffin like a day before that. No, the same day. He won him in free agency. So that, I don't know. Let's just move on. Both of those guys are free agent signings.
Kaliki Hudson and a fourth for Aziz Ojulari. Didn't Aziz just get bought in kind of a big trade with you Giants? I thought it was a higher valuation than that for him. Or is Kaliki better than I'm giving him credit for?
Probably.
I think you might be a little high on Aziz, to be honest.
I had him at kind of that third round level. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think he's probably around there. Like, his entire career, he's been like the number 2 rusher and kind of not been productive, despite being on the field for a decent amount of time. And now with Burns there, I expect that he's going to be just pass rush only specialist to come in unless there's an injury.
Yep.
Sounds like a Chief to me. Then RJ getting on the board, Colby Wooden, and a third for Keanu Benton. Man, you really wanted that D tackle.
I like that though. I think that's fine. I think Benton's pretty good.
Yeah, he's a nose tackle, so he's not going to be like some statistical superstar, but it's consistency for a really low like cap hit, and I'll have him for the next 3 years.
And then, of course, sorry, go ahead. No, sorry, I thought you were saying from Giants.
Oh, no, sorry.
Anyways, then the blockbuster of the bunch, Seahawks giving up Najee Harris, Devonta Smith, and Larry Ogunjobi for Devon Chan and Deebo Samuel. So Seahawks has been breaking a lot of things down over the offseason. Here he's taking a 3 for 2. But I think I like what he's getting back more than what he's given up, as I think happens in a lot of Seahawks trades.
Yep. I think Seahawks won this trade.
Yeah.
By as much as a lot of people think. I think if Ogunjobi is still somewhat productive, I think the gap between Najee and Achan's scoring is less than 50 points. If that's the gap of those two versus Devonta and Deebo, I think maybe your calculus changes a little bit. So I'm a little bit higher.
That might be the gap this year, but like I have much more faith in Achane having like a role in 3 or 4 years than Najee.
Right, but at the same token, I have a lot more faith in Devonta having a role in 3 or 4 years than I am with Deebo. So
yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
It's one of those where, like, yes, I would lean the direction that we said, but if Najee performs to kind of my elevated expectations, it's probably a heck of a lot closer than most of us think.
Yeah, I think I would say Devonta is the best piece in the deal. But I think I like the combo better of Achane and Samuel.
All right.
I'm looking this up on Keep Trade Cut.
It's within 2,000 points, I think. I like this up when it happened.
Okay.
And so, like, if you consider like what 2,000 points could be is like a second round pick, like a mid second round pick or earlier. Is that where you put Larry Ogunjobi, whatever his last name is? I don't want to pronounce it without looking at it.
All right, I'm throwing this whole website in the trash. There's like there's no possible way that we're like the 8th tier of wide receivers and we're still at HN value. No, this can't be used for our league.
Unless it can be used for our league.
That's why.
Speaking of trading, let's talk about some trades that the AFC needs to make. We'll start with the honorary AFC team because he's a commissioner. He has to be listed near the top. Packers is the last NFC team that we didn't cover last time. So we'll touch on him, and then we'll run through the rest of the AFC, other than the Bengals, who we did catch last time. So real quick on Packers, I think we've talked about him as a team nearing the precipice of a rebuild. So it's does he break down some of his young pieces into one last run, or does he start taking some of the bigger pieces that may have 1 year left on their value and start selling now? So I'd say, RJ, which direction do you think he should and will go?
So with this roster, I would probably it's going to suck like when you get to the rebuilding stage, but I would give it 1 more year and I would try to push all in. Too many of the players are so far past their prime that you're not going to extract adequate value out of them. So I would just all in, and we're going to play with these guys until the wheels fall off. I mean, there's some argument to probably retooling players like Chuba and Hawkinson into some other things. Maybe give you some good foundational pieces for the rebuild. But other than that, like I don't think there's a market for like a DeAndre Hopkins or a Cooper Kupp. Not like a respectable market. Same with like Aaron Jones. I'd imagine he's just going to keep Jordan Love. So I'm not even going to mention that more than this. Defensive players, all like really good, but not those marquee names that you could go out and expect to get like multiple firsts for, or like a first and a half decent player. So
yeah, it's like all like good point getters.
Yeah, like the one that sticks out to me is like maybe you could capitalize on like the hype of Yaya, but like he might be the most, he might be like the best of like the younger, kind of like under the radar assets that could get real value.
His DE room is actually pretty sweet.
It's insane.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, like looking at his linebackers, like I see these large point totals next to their names from last year, but I'm just like,
Yes. Yeah, they are quickly going to McDuffie will probably maintain the vast majority of his role, but like Mora's probably is he still with Buffalo? Or did he recently sign with Buffalo?
He's still said as Buffalo on here.
Okay.
So I'm assuming he's still there.
Yeah, he played for Philadelphia last year, though. So, okay.
Oh, then, yeah, I'm assuming Buffalo signed him. And they lost Tyrell Dotson, right? So, like, there's a role there.
Mm-hmm.
Chalk this up to the thing what would never happen, but what do you think you get for Jordan Love?
Oh my gosh. Multiple
$17 million.
Multiple firsts. I mean, realistically, like a top 10 pick and probably another first. I don't know if it's like a great first, but probably like the 120 or something like that. You turn it into like you could turn him into one of the top tier like pass catchers or running backs. Like there's a huge market for Jordan Love, but I really don't expect him to get moved.
Yeah, I don't either. Again, he's a Packer on the Packers Interleague, whose owner is a Packers fan. So I highly doubt there's going to be a move involving Jordan Love. But again, if I was going to move a piece to improve my chances for this year, that might be the best piece to move.
Yeah.
I just feel like if he's on the precipice of a tear down or like rebuild, like that's like the asset you hang your hat on of like I have my quarterback. Like I'd rather just sell a little low on these older guys. I would think, um, than mortgage his future more.
Also, I do also agree with that, and that's kind of like it's a weird situation where like yeah, Jordan Love very much is the most valuable asset. He's young enough to where all 31 other teams are probably going to be in a market for him. He's affordable. Um, but also I don't think you want to start a rebuild without like one foundational piece like that.
Who knows? Or he keeps it, sells everything off, and then builds around that. I don't know. Jeremy is interesting at rebuilds. We'll see what happens. All right, let's go to the AFC here. The Steelers. RJ, you want to break them down?
I mean, they're debatably a wild card team. I mean, in any other division, they're probably solidly in the playoffs every year. But definitely holes, so probably not one of those that I'd consider a contender. I think this is going to be a trend, but defensive end room is just insanity. So like you don't have to worry about that. Where does he have extra assets that he could trade? Does he? He might have to get rid of one of those edges to turn them into like something else of like production. He needs another wide receiver, like a wide receiver one, actually. Like Jacoby Myers and Rashid Shaheed are really good wide receiver twos, but like you need one guy that's going to be consistently in double digits. So that would be what I'd be in the market for if I'm Steelers.
Yeah, I like Moore and Burks as like best ball players, but like they both drastically fell down their depth charts this offseason,
Yeah,
versus their roles last year, which like really just kind of hurts him. Um,
I have high
what
hopes
does
for
he
Moore still.
does he have his he has all his 26 picks, so like he has ammo to like add a wide receiver one. I mean, he could like, I mean, thinking of like the Saints, right? Like go get Dotson or Robinson, like just add another receiver like that to the room, and just do a best ball style, Chief style of like here's a bunch of number 2 or number 3 receivers, and hopefully I can just get enough points in a given week. I think Kincaid's gonna be awesome, so that's it's a nice
So
receiving piece.
if he does that, if he goes out and buys like what you would consider another like wide receiver too, I think a secondary thing that you do after you've secured that wide receiver too, and I don't know, you guys can tell me if I'm wrong on this, but like shopping James Cook for a lesser running back and another wide receiver.
Yeah, or like a pair Cook with a wide receiver for an upgrade is another option if he doesn't want to use his picks.
Yeah.
Um,
I think Cook's the right bit of like you can squeeze good value out of him because if I'm not mistaken, he was like a top 10 running back last year or like very close to it production wise.
mhm.
Or like I don't know, there's just more mouths to feed in the backfield with like Ray Davis being back there. So why not capitalize on it a year ahead? Because
Yeah,
I think this is also a contract year for him, right?
he's
No,
got
no,
one more
no.
year. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's got one more year. Yeah, and I do like that. I think if you look at like Etienne, right, as like a good case study where like he has his big year and then he's going into second to last year of being super cheap. Like had Falcons sold him earlier, he probably gets a lot more than he gets for Etienne right now. And so kind of
That
doing that calculus for James Cook as well of like, am I just going to get peak value out of Cook at this moment could he do this? Like, do you see him as a player that can do this for 4 more years into a second contract with the Bills? Do you think the Bills are going to give a running back a second contract? They keep letting them walk. Singletary walked, Moss walked. They all have roles now, starting roles, in fact. So like, Cook could just be the next guy to walk.
Mhm.
Um,
I just don't think 222 points is like I don't think he's going to duplicate that. So, selling him while that point total is next to his name is probably a lot easier than, when we get a couple of weeks into the season and he's averaging 7.5 points a game.
yeah,
I love it. On every other fantasy podcast, it's what do you do with James Cook? Buy him. He's going to be a steal. He's going to be an RB1. He's going to be a league winner. Here, fade him, sell him, bring him down. Let's go.
no, we're not saying fade him. We're just saying to capitalize on his perceived value.
Right.
No, I got it. It's at different whatever at a certain price, any player becomes a buy. At a high enough price, every player becomes a sell. So I get it from that side. All right, who's next? Should we do the Ravens next?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Giants. Why don't you do the honor?
All right. I mean, a quick look over his roster, it's like pretty solid all around. I think running back 2 is the obvious hole, and he's got some surplus value at like receiver depth that he could dip into, at tight end depth for sure. Come talk to me, Ravens. So like I think moving one or packaging, a receiver and a tight end for an improvement at RB2 behind Pacheco would be a needed move for Ravens here. But like, I mean, it's a really strong roster. There's a couple of pieces that are like on the older side, right? Like Tyreek, he's got a 1-year deal, so he's gonna have to franchise him. Like, do you just trade him so someone can trade extend him and like try and capitalize on him? He just had like his 15th kid born in the last like 2 years, so like he's probably gonna keep playing. But he did say at the end of his contract he was gonna retire. We'll see.
Oh, he's
Um,
walked back from that statement
Oh,
already.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, the kids keep coming, so um that's an interesting, like, he's obviously a huge piece to like try and find the right deal for. I really like his like receiver room just in general, like having DJ Moore and Tyreek as your kind of 2 pillars, and then Cooks, Wicks, even Demarcus Robinson, the bane of my existence last year, who I cut after doing nothing, only for him to drop 90 points in like 3 weeks. Um, so like it's a pretty good room. Like I said, if you could like package one of those with a tight end for a running back upgrade or something, in that nature would be the move I would be looking to make for him. But he's pretty set all around.
So there aren't many teams that can make this happen, but I would actually say for this, I would take like one of the other running backs, probably Kenneth Gainwell, because of he's the only one that has like real value. DeMarcado is probably going to be unemployed, and I don't know about Isaiah Davis. But I would take like Gainwell. I'd probably take one of the like back end wide receivers, maybe even 2 of them, like an A.T. Perry who has some offseason hype,
Yeah.
and a tight end. Like I'd package all 3 and see if you could get into like the middling running backs. Like interesting that Giant says like hit him up. Trying to go get which Chargers running back do you have? Gus, right?
Gus, yeah.
Yeah, like I don't. This is just spitballing. I'm not looking at if you can even take that many players, but I would approach somebody like you with like a package like that and go, "Do you want to take the gamble on upside?"
Yeah. Yeah. There's also the other route, like we were just talking about, division rival, breaking down Cooks. Like, is this a division rival team that could be like in the consideration there? Do you do like Reek for Cooks and something? Could be kind of interesting.
What do you mean? Like him trade Reek and Cooks?
No, trade for Cooks.
Oh, James Cook.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I'm looking at Ravens roster and I see
Oh,
Brandon Cooks.
I
So
see.
it's just
Sorry. Yeah. I sorry. Yeah. James Cook. But yeah, I like also your thought process there on the package.
I mean, I'm like now that you said that, I'm thinking like a Brandon Cooks and I don't know. Let's call it a DJ Moore, maybe a Tyreek. I don't know what we perceive as value, and maybe go talk to like Cowboys for a Devontae Adams.
Mm-hmm.
Because
The other
like,
thing is, I mean, also in division, like Bengals is looking to move the Chicago backfield. Like that could be a really interesting backfield for Ravens to get.
oh man, that yeah.
But I don't know. This division, they all hate each other, so I don't know if they also want to trade with each other.
Very understandable. I'm also in a division like that.
RJ, I love you.
Oh yeah, we appreciate each other. Just we still tax the hell out of each other when we trade.
Yeah. Had to be done.
Yeah.
So Ravens in a good spot. Let's
see.
talk about another team that's also in a good spot.
We should talk about the Browns then. So I was looking to see for the Ravens if you took Tyreek and went shopping, like kind of to your guys' point, who knows what he's going to be doing, but kind of sell the highest price receiver because the back of the room looks pretty nice.
Yeah. Well, like Tyreek has the 1 year, so like it's not unreasonable to try to sell him and like the buying team like trade extend him. It's just how like I not necessarily how many years you're gonna get out of him, because like he's a player that you can only think of in like probably a 2 to a 3 year window. But it's like, does he fall off? Like, is he a type of player that falls off and, is he only putting up 275 instead of 386 like last year?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
Sounds like some Waddle hope.
What is the equivalent of running back to Tyreek Hill right now?
Kamara, maybe Kamara plus. Like you'd have to be Kamara plus or something.
Really?
Like,
Kamara that low?
I was gonna say Derrick Henry plus or
for Tyreek.
Yeah.
Oh, I would. Yeah, I still think, even if you're thinking about like a 2 year, I mean, he could be. I don't know. I would definitely think it would take more than Kamara for me to move Tyreek if I had him.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Let me go to stats last year and see. That helps jog my memory as to top running backs for who would be my separation point there. You know what? I'd say Travis Etienne. Maybe a little bit. I want maybe a little bit more than Etienne, but I might not get it.
Yeah, I think he'd be ecstatic if he can get. Well, I really like Etienne, so maybe that's I'm just a little high on him, but
yeah.
But I think that's like the right range. What's that, like RB 10,
Something
RB
like
15
that.
in that range? Yeah, I mean,
Right.
the thing that
you
you have to
target
consider
the
is
three
he's a
balls
1 year
overall.
deal. You have to trade extend him, so he's going to be another. He's probably going to be closer to 30 mil with that trade extension, which isn't the end of the world, but it limits you in terms of who's got space or who can send back the right things.
Well, that being said, I think I need to go trade for Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, that's the missing piece for your roster, Mike.
Yep.
The win now receiver.
Anyways, Cleveland Browns. Again, I know I said this last week when we were talking about the Rams, but truly I don't understand how you haven't traded him to Seattle QB room yet. Like, it makes too much sense. He's got Wilson. He needs a hedge, especially for when Wilson loses the job like week 3, because he's Russell Wilson. They can do it for him on the cheap, and he's got depth of positions you need. Like, and you're in each other's opposite conference. Like, come on, this doesn't have to be hard, guys. No, it is, because you're both the 40 people in this world you love the most are the 40 players on your fantasy team. But besides that, all the pieces are in place here for a deal to happen with you guys. So I don't know.
I've learned I need to let Browns come to me. So, buddy, if you're interested, Yeah. A point taken on the Russell. I mean, even just like going to get Fields, right? Like, I'm assuming Bears would sell him for anything just to like have more picks, but I would do something to like have some insurance there for sure.
I mean, that's my thing. Is to go get Fields right now, you're probably going to have to give up a first because I think that's what he was acquired for, and I think that's what Bears values him at. So if I'm going to go take a first and acquire something, why don't I go acquire a second starting quarterback with my hedge, so that if Russ has a bad week, I've got the hedge for that, not just the handcuff to it. So I think it's better shopping to go that way. But I also feel kind of disgusting because I'm saying nice things about a Giants asset, and you guys take over. I'm going to throw up.
I have nice shiny things, Mike. It's okay. I would not spend a first also on Fields for what that's worth. So if that's the asking price, I understand why you're not going in that direction. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, looking at like, I think we're talking about like making a move at QB here because like the rest of his roster is pretty freaking good and pretty good depth as well. So I'm just like scrolling down here. I mean, I would like a better like tier of a linebacker, and maybe a safety. But like, these are point getters, right? Like it's kind of like more like name recognition and like confidence in like a long term role than anything. This again is just another strong team like in this ridiculous division. So like his only weak spot is the fact that like his quarterback might not have the job at some point during the year. But that's also possible that it just doesn't come to fruition. And Russ is just a starter, just like he was all year last year, and other than his injury guarantee issue. But I don't know. Yeah, he's got a lot of he's got all his picks this year and next year basically. A couple extra like late round picks in there. Like he could go shopping and like, I mean, he could easily upgrade quarterback and likely be, the strongest team in the league if he's not already there.
It'd be fun to see him sell one of his tight ends for a quarterback if he could. Like if he could move Goddard for something, probably not the safest of moves, but like I feel like Goddard's going to bring back the most he's going to return like now or this season.
It was like 2 years ago, but
You don't think moving off of somebody like Kamara, like before he completely falls off of a cliff?
So my issue with moving off Kamara, and I feel this way about his running back and receiver room, is he's got good value and good depth. But if you take one name out of that second tier, I start feeling a lot more nervous about it.
yeah, like the way I kind of think about both of those rooms, and I think it's kind of what you're saying, is like you have your like star in like Kamara and AJ Brown, and then you have really good depth piece. Terry, sorry, but Scary Terry is not what he used to be. But like you have the depth behind that. But if you take away that star piece, now you're playing that like best ball game of like hopefully one of these guys pops this week. And his running back room, like I think I like Zamir White a lot. I expect that he'll have the job and have a lot of touches until his knee explodes. I think we all like Chase Brown as like a backup flyer piece on the roster. Bucky Irving could take the Tampa Bay role, but like coach speak has been kind of negative towards him all off. So
yeah, they're gonna run White into the ground and decide not to pay him and let him walk. His contract ends next year, also.
No, this is going to year 3.
Okay, yeah. I do agree. I agree. Like moving off of somebody like Kamara would definitely be concerning for depth at running back, but I just think like moving off of Kamara, turning it into let's say a quarterback or just draft picks. He has enough draft picks and he has a good amount of cap space, right? Yeah, 25 million. Like he can go buy any running back that he wants that's younger than that. He can just replace him. And that would be one thing that I would probably try to do. At no point would I move Kamara if there was no intention of adding another running back.
Yeah.
So I wonder, looking at this, I know you two are, the two best friends like division mates can be, but would a Russ and picks for a Tua trade with the Ravens be interesting to him? Just an idea to throw out there.
I mean, it doesn't sound unreasonable, but it's more about like what picks would it be? Because I think Ravens is still a good enough team with Russ, and probably has enough extra assets to go buy like another quarterback too, just to secure that, and probably has more of those like movable assets in comparison to Browns.
Yeah, I'm just throwing different approaches out there.
Yeah.
I think that's a better idea. Just
Yeah,
if
I just don't
try-
think Picks is like gonna entice. Like, he's in like a win now mode. Ravens. I just don't think he would like Picks wouldn't really move the needle for him. If it was like Russ and AJ Brown for like Tua and Tyreek and like whatever is needed on either end of that to like make everyone happy, I could see that being more of interest to him in terms of like getting younger receiver and
Oh, that would be really fun. And that'd give Ravens even more cap flexibility.
well, yeah, I guess Tua is what, like, how expensive is Tua now?
33.
Yeah, so yeah, he would get some change back.
That's a fun one.
But then we do kind of put the same like own it, now like, okay, Ravens, your receiver room is better, but now you're not only worried about RB2, but also quarterback and getting your insurance policy in place. So it's like, I don't know if it depends, I guess, on his views of AJ Brown.
Who has a safer quarterback that he could purchase?
You and I are the ones with some spares.
Yeah. I do have a spare quarterback.
I too.
I mean, Bears, right? Like, he could go get Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
Not that it's like a long-term answer, but like, go buy Daniel Jones for your late first, and I don't know what his cap space situation is.
Actually, I think Browns is the perfect landing spot for that, just because he he has 25 million.
Yeah, so I think he can just fit him, or whatever. He has to send some. I'm sure Zadarius Smith's contract back or something.
Right. He'd have to make the years work, but that's not a huge ask because Jones is only he's a 3-year, so moderately difficult.
Yeah,
It could be done.
Yeah, but I'm sure. Well, I mean, I would assume that would be something of interest for Bears, just to get a pick and not get the points added to his tank for DJ. And like, at least for this year, like, that's a rushing floor that you're establishing at your quarterback room with Daniel Jones. And then I know, hot topic, Daniel Jones and fantasy and otherwise, but like, maybe a first is too rich, but like, it's a couple of seconds, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
no, I don't think it's crazy. Like, for Bears, I don't think it's crazy to ask a first. So I do like that.
Yeah.
And then like Browns gets to keep Russell Wilson at the same time, so he has something that, not the most appealing asset, but something he could try to move off.
Yeah. And like, the thing about Russell Wilson is like, he's kind of like, he's at risk for the year, but like, he will have a job next year because the team can sign him for the minimum.
Yeah.
Like, he might just bounce around from team to team for the duration of his contract, just purely because it's like, you can get a starting caliber quarterback for the minimum. So
Right,
he'll have
yeah.
a job next year, right? Even if he were to lose his job.
Yeah.
We'll have the end of Kurt Warner's career.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, if he slides down to like, a journeyman type quarterback, like, that's completely fine. The biggest issue in our league is the years and the salary cap attached to him.
Yeah.
Like, the 4 years, just, I don't know. Nobody wants to take on like a lower end quarterback and have to find 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, he could renegotiate him, right? Like, then you're like stuck with him for longer, but it's at $9 million. It's like way more swallowable.
All right, so let's keep going. Now we're to the AFC South, and we got the Texans. Um,
Well, before yesterday, there were some assets that could have been sold off for some roster filling type of players, but now not so much. It's just Najee as the RB2.
Yeah, it would have been interesting if he like sold them separately. Like if he could have gotten more individually than the combo. Because I agree. Like I think ideally, like you break down both those pieces, just to fill out your depth. I mean, quarterback is still like the big red flag, right? Is Aiden O'Connell like currently the starter
Nope.
going into training? It's not. Yeah. So like
He has the edge. That was the last thing I heard.
Not when Minshew's being paid $25 million. Minshew's being paid to be a starter. They're not.
yeah.
It's open competition.
it's
I don't
definitely
believe-
yeah.
I believe
So
that.
I don't-
And with an owner that's reminding the head coach that, hey, we just paid $20 plus million for this guy.
I mean, I feel like Texans just playing this like epic game of chicken, not just going to try and acquire Minshew before he has a job locked in. Like just pay the whatever it might cost to like lock down the room and not play the game. Like this is.
I still think my tongue-in-cheek comment about him getting Danny Dimes is honestly his best route if he just wants a QB for this year. But
I don't hate that. Move Jordan Travis and bring in Danny.
Yeah.
He's another guy that probably would be fine. He's the only owner that could probably take on the Sam Darnold contract if he really wants to gamble. Like that's the cheapest, trade value wise assumed starter in the league.
Yep.
You think he'd be more? Do you think Minshew's not like a similar cost?
Mm-mm.
No.
Minshew's reasonably priced and
Because
can
his
be
price.
rostered.
Yeah,
that's fair.
in here people are gonna want more from Minshew.
Yeah.
The only issue with Darnold is if it goes south early and he's not a starter, you're not moving off of him in that contract, which limits other abilities.
Completely agree. That's why he's like a starter that should carry like a early fourth, late third type of value to him.
I'm probably higher than that on him, but
Checking ownership of Darnold. Yep. Okay.
yeah. Slightly higher than that. But no, that's the thing. I understand like the Daniel Jones issue. It's like, okay, it's 3 years. So if he loses his job to Drew Lock in week 5, I still have to carry the contract for 2 more years. But Darnold,
Can I just nip that in the bud? I know Panthers has been like putting this seed into a lot of teams in the league that Daniel Jones is going to lose his job to Drew Lock. Everything the Giants have been saying and doing, it said the only way Drew Lock is playing is if Daniel Jones is hurt.
Yeah, they're paying him another one of those. They're just paying so much money that like they're gonna get their money's worth out of him. He's gonna run and throw until he falls apart.
At the end of the season, and then they can walk
Right.
away. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So back to the Minshew contract. It's $25 million, but it's $25 million over 2 years. So that is not the guaranteed playing starting money at all.
No, it's not. But it's bridge quarterback money.
It's backup plan money.
I mean, it's high end backup, right?
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, neither quarterback excites me on the Raiders. Let's be honest.
We're both talking about like who our preference, like just which one we prefer out of like we're digging out of the trash to talk about quarterbacks basically.
Yep.
Mike, we have another person I think that wants on.
excellent.
But
There
like
you
No,
looking
don't
at
let them in.
I agree.
looking at the rest of like the roster, I mean, he has like some pieces. He's got a lot of defensive tackles. My God. Like I like his linebackers. I would prefer a more established defensive end. His safety room is a little weak. You want another receiver, I would think, of this. Again, obviously, his top two guys are great. Tillman, some positive hype coming out of camp. Like, does he take the the wide receiver 2 role? Probably not. Like, they just traded and paid Judy, and Cooper is the man there. Like, so he's kind of wide receiver 3 in Cleveland. So, like, he needs probably another receiver in this room. He needs another tight end. Like, I think you're in the territory of, do we break down Gibbs or Chase to like fill out some of the depth here?
I don't think he'd want to break down either of those two.
I know he personally wouldn't, but like that would be that kind of goes back to our earlier comment of like selling A-Chain and Debo individually to like break down those pieces probably would have been like the better move, just to build out some of the depth that's missing here.
Oh, I missed that trade discussion. I actually like that trade for him. But
You are,
You can bring it back up.
you and Sean are on that island together.
We're all allowed to be wrong every once in a while.
Even the commish.
you guys didn't like getting Devonta and Harris?
No,
I like Devonta. I said he was the best piece in the deal, but I like the combo of A-Chain and Debo better.
it's a lateral move for a slightly younger wide receiver and a significant drop off at running back. You just traded away a top 10 dynasty running back for barely in the top 30
It's a
running back.
perceived top 10 dynasty running back. Don't get me wrong, he's explosive, but
He's the most volatile of the higher end running backs. I will agree. There's some concern, but
But we're also a best ball league, and like
the
Right.
best ball
Yeah.
does make him more attractive, yes. But
Yeah.
oof.
keep
I'm a-
trade cut undervalues him.
I'm a big Devonta fan.
I am too. I mean, I think he was the best player in the deal, like most valuable asset in the deal. But
And I mean, we're talking about Debo as if he's still a top tier wide receiver, which I don't think I agree with anymore.
I think he's good for 1,100 and a handful of rushing touchdowns. So like
1,100 combined yards.
No, I think he'll probably sure. Like that doesn't sound. I mean, that would be a quite a drop off from his receiving production, but I don't think that's like
Have you-
crazy. But and then
Have you-
11 touchdowns between receiving and running.
I mean, his
I mean,
His
Devontae
stats
had
last few years,
1,000
he
yards
hasn't-
and 7 touchdowns last year. So like, I could see Debo getting that with maybe like 4 of those touchdowns being on the ground. Like, production wise, they might not be that different for the next few years. I mean, also consider the scenario of like what happens with Ayuk. If Ayuk gets traded, like, I mean, he's going to have a larger role for a
Debo
longer
gets
than
more
we think.
volume, and then he gets hurt earlier and more frequently, and he has an even worse season. Like that is a guy I am out on.
Yeah,
Like,
but
he's missed
Najee also
3
has Najee is on a 1-year contract, and he's a
Right.
running back, so he's dead. So
So
it's either you trade him now, where he's already at low value, or what you pray he gets a DeAndre Swift 1-year
No.
deal somewhere, does decent, and then someone's dumb enough to give him 3 years with like 2 years of guaranteed money.
oh no, low value. Like we've passed any point where he was even considered low value. I think everybody understands like he's going to be productive this year. Like they are going to literally run him into the ground, and then everybody's going to go, he has no knees left, and nobody's going to give him more than a 1-year deal. Like sure, okay, you got a running back that's going to give you 1,100 yards on like probably a 3.4 yard per carry average, but like after that. He's throw him in the trash.
Well, that's
I wanna be
basically what
clear,
happened with
I am
Swift.
I am not arguing for the value of Najee. I am arguing for the value of Devonta being extremely high and me being a lot lower on Debo than a lot of people
He's-
might be at this
He's
point.
26. He's gonna be 26 in November when the rest of his draft class is 24 years old. He's already an old wide receiver. So like Devonta, he belongs closer in the value to Debo than he does, the 24-year-olds.
He does not. I disagree.
The big thing with Debo though is whether he breaks down or not, you have all the questions. If Ayuk moves, he becomes the clear-cut one, and someone will pay for that. It might not be you, it might not be me, but someone will pay something that is not too terribly far off of what you would just pay for Devontae for him. Not saying that's right, but it just seems likely. And to downgrade at RB for that, it's not good.
All right. Moving
So
on
trades he
down.
should make. I still stand by like breaking down some of these bigger. If he's trying to compete this year in a pretty winnable division, trying to break down like a Chase or a Gibbs to like add some pieces to his depth here would be where I'd be looking.
Go to Bengals and ask him what he think. Swift and Hollywood for Jamar Chase.
There you go.
Like-
Done and done.
Well, apparently Bengals here really loves Devonta Smith, so that would be who I'd be dangling in front of him.
I do like Devonta, but I like Chase more.
Yeah.
My quarterback is lonely.
Yeah, there you go. Something tells me that the Swift and Hollywood would be a smash accept. You'd break your hand.
I feel like there's a piece or two missing.
There
I
might be.
feel like you could really break it down into a lot. Like if you went to the commies and you said, you know what, give me Brian Burns, okay? Give me like Leo Chanel, give me Leonard Williams, and give me Marvin Mims. You're breaking it down, you're getting some riskier pieces, but the truth is that Texans team needs a lot of pieces.
Yeah.
Like to compete or anything, and he doesn't have draft picks. So he needs to either get some of these risky 4-for-1, 5-for-1 kind of deals, or he's got to really grind and break down from like a tier 1 Jamar to a tier 2 receiver, whoever you have in your tier 2, to probably even a tier 3, and pick up an edge and a linebacker, and then maybe like a draft pick or two to where you can go pick up a D tackle. Like he's got to do a lot of flushing out, and then he also just needs the cards to land the right way to even
He
compete.
does have picks. So he's got the 49ers first. He's got 2 seconds, the Saints and the Commanders, so early seconds, TBH. And he's got all of his 26 picks. Like he has some ammo to like buy. I think he's trying to see that there's not a lot of sellers right now for picks for like players he's looking for. But he does have some draft ammunition still.
So I think he might be somebody that like approaches Ravens if Ravens would be interested in the wild idea of moving multiple like lower end offensive assets, because like I
Yeah.
could see a Gainwell. So you probably don't do you might have to do A.T. Perry and Dontavion, and then like say a tight end, and then you just go shopping for one of Texans' premium assets. Probably not the running back, Gibbs, but probably like a Devonta.
Yeah.
The Jets would be interesting too. Like, what if you broke down Jamar Chase into like Jamison Williams, Pat Fryermuth, and like Harold Landry? All of a sudden, you have a more proven edge. You go to more of a risky receiver, but a guy that can get you back into that tier 2, top tier 3 if he actually pans out. And then get you a tight end and Fryermuth, whose offensive coordinator is just going to give the other tight end the ball because, you know, that's what he does.
I like the concept. I don't like the pieces there. Like I think if you're moving Chase, you want a tier below that in receiver, not like the wild card that is Jameson. But like, I mean,
The real issue to me is most of the wide receiver tier 2s in this league are owned by guys who I don't really see are going to be willing to give him a 4-for-1, 5-for-1 kind of deal. And yeah, I understand you could do multiple trades, but it's hard to mock, you know, do this trade and then do that one and then do that one.
yeah.
The
Like-
only other comment I want to make is that sweepstakes occurred very quickly. I didn't even see I don't have notifications unless I get tagged, and I didn't even see the trade announced for hey, these guys are looking for homes, and then it was like, it felt like within an hour they were
Gone.
gone.
Yeah, I think like I know a couple of us had offers out. It's like there probably could have been a bit of a bidding war. I think he really liked Devonta Smith. I think a lot of us liked Devonta Smith, and he
Yeah.
viewed Smith as a more valuable asset than A-Chain, uh, and Najee was a serviceable at least piece. But yeah, I mean that's a kind of scenario when you're sitting on 3 or 4, offers, like spread that out a little bit, like try and go back and forth and see what else you could squeeze.
Agreed.
All right. Let's see.
We're not moving very quick today, Mike.
No, we're not. That's okay. Colts.
Good
What are we
conversation.
even supposed to be doing right now?
We're
They
picking
just-
things to buy and sell for these teams. If they need to be buying, find some things for them. If they need to be selling, sell some things for them.
Is there a method to
Basically-
the madness for picking
No,
the
just-
teams?
Pick the stuff that you want and like say they need to trade that. Like just get it out there.
Can
Yep.
we talk about Jamar Chase a bit more then?
I don't think we need to talk about him more. He's terrible.
He's horrible. About to have an
Alright.
albatross of a contract.
The player that the Colts obviously need to acquire is Jordan Madison.
Is he looking for people that don't like to obey the rules of the road?
He is Rasheed.
That is true. There is a theme.
So Colts, I feel like has had like 4 different aims in this past like 6 months for what his team is trying to do. I think right now he's at the I may try and compete in my crappy division for a month and then see where I'm at after week 4, and if I still have my pick, which is good in case I don't do well. I feel like that is a tricky place to be.
I agree, but probably with this roster, probably he's forced into that almost.
I think he's going to wait till did he sell his first this year already?
No, he has it.
I hear it's 25%.
Yeah. He's going to wait till he sells his 25 first for like a top 8 value, and then he'll make that switch.
Yeah, I mean, there's pieces here, right? Like he's got Bryce, he's got Blake Corum. We'll see with Rashee Rice. I thought I guess he just sold Robinson. So he's got no real wide receiver 2 that I like. No tight end. Good defensive end room, like a nice young room for some pieces there. Like his linebacker room, albeit their contracts are absolutely atrocious. Like there's some pieces here, and like like we were just talking about, a weak division, like a trade or 2 like could flip this. Like could he break down Rashee Rice to a tanker for like 2 receivers who are going to play this year in some capacity? I don't know, but it's also like I could see him just selling his entire team and just going full tank.
So I have an interesting take on this one. I would suggest that the first thing he does is, including Kendall Fuller, cut all of the 1-year guys. Get rid of all the extra fodder on his roster. Hold on to the vast majority of his young assets, and he should be one of the guys that takes all the garbage dumps. Like he should be paid to use his $20+ million in cap space and his currently 6, which probably could get up to like 10 or 12 like cap years. He should be taking the junk from other teams, and if he can cobble together some points with that, with like slightly productive players that are just not useful on certain teams, or just get paid to take that stuff. I think that's where he squeezes out extra value. Like there's nothing on his team that's like pressing, like you need to get rid of this before like the value deteriorates. But I do think like his roster flexibility should be used as an asset right now.
I think he should go to the Ravens and try to break down one of his edges into like Josh Pascal in a second. Because Josh is going into year 3 without a lot of production. The Ravens need another edge that's a little bit more promising, and see maybe if you can get him to bite and give you Pat second and Pascal for Thule, or I would start with trying to get rid of Will McDonald.
Yeah. I think those are the types of moves that would benefit his team, just like doing a bunch of 2-for-1s where like he's getting some draft assets on top of some points back at the position. I'm sure he's not going to trade Thule or Colson, just being the Chargers fan that he is, which I get. But like if there's any other kind of arbitrage you can do that way, would be beneficial.
All right, let's talk Jags. RJ, you
Bueller.
So needs to respond to trade offers. I think all of us share that same opinion. But the things that he needs, he's probably, I don't know, is he in the driver's seat for his division at this point?
I mean, Timber Titans. I think based off of like availability, it seems like it might be Titans in the driver's seat there, but he's got a lot of pieces, Jags.
Yeah. So I would sell off one of the running backs, kind of like a pick 'em out of the three. Like, do you want some like lower end? I don't know. Do you want like a second round pick or a third round pick for Damian Pierce, or do you want to like ship off one of the big guys? Because like he has holes at other spots, and like not glaring holes, but like he needs a linebacker, and he needs to upgrade at like edge. Oh no,
I think his
actually, I
edge
think
is
he's
actually
fine.
okay.
No,
Yeah,
I think the team's all around good. I think you send your first to the Rams for Mark Andrews, and then you find someone to take your second or your third and take that Cole Holcomb contract and get you a better second linebacker.
that's not unreasonable.
Yeah.
I think he goes and tries to buy productive wide receivers from the Ravens and probably the Browns. And that would be the best route that he could go
The
in.
thing, does he even need to though? Like if you look at his division,
Yes.
well, no, look at his division. Like it's all about who you're going against. Like the Titans has what Amari Cooper and Christian Kirk. The Texans has no tight end, no defense. So like he can win with his roster. Like he
Yeah.
really doesn't need much more.
And then make it to the first round and get his face kicked in with a 40-point deficit. That's all at receiver.
Like he could push on for something like, I know I was joking about Ravens or Browns, but the first player I think of is like Tyreek Hill. Go grab him.
Yeah, but that all feels like you ride it out and you see who gets healthy, who gets hurt, and you make those trades closer to the trade deadline. Like right now, he just needs to compete against his division and make sure he's going to win that, and then worry about beating everybody once he gets into a better spot.
The other conference trade could be flipping one of those running backs into Kittle.
Yeah. Turn Kyron into what? Kittle and
Hyatt.
yeah. That would probably be the most rational because it's not
Yeah.
like you're shooting for the high end stuff.
Yeah.
Then like Odell is just a little bit out of that range.
I feel like Kyron's worth more than that. No?
Kyron's
don't-
just with the issue that they drafted a really good handcuff.
Yeah. So like I don't like Kyron's not going away, but like he's another one. He's like Achane, where like he's probably valued just a little bit higher in Dynasty than he realistically should be. Like they're both like somewhere in the like top 10 or like right around there, and it's just it's due to the lack of like high end like quality high end running backs in the league right now. or young higher end running backs.
Like, I don't think you would get. I mean, like, you could, I guess, go try Jameson Williams and Kittle. But, like, I don't think you get, like, Tank Dell and Kittle.
No,
No.
definitely
Yeah.
not.
So, like,
I like the Hyatt. I think Hyatt's a little bit high but I don't think you're necessarily happy with. You said Jameson, right? Was the
yeah.
other one? Yeah, I don't know.
What would you prefer, Hyatt or Jameson, if you had to choose straight up?
Hyatt.
I would prefer Jameson just from, like, ceiling wise. They're kind of like a similar player, to be honest.
I asked because I was looking at him. I'm like, I'm not even sure. I think I go
Yeah.
Jameson.
In my opinion, Jameson is like, if he's not productive this year, he's never going to be productive. Where like Hyatt, no,
Yeah,
I think they're just patiently waiting for Slayton to be gone, and Hyatt just gets pushed right into that spot.
Yeah, but the problem is, like,
they're gonna
even if
get
he
a
has the
high
Slayton role.
Okay.
Go ahead, James.
Well, two things. How many of us feel comfortable with one running back? Like, we're talking about moving Kyron. If he moves Kyron, all he's got is Josh Jacobs.
No,
He's still way better off moving his picks.
he has Pierce.
Yeah, who did what last year?
I mean, like, that's the thing. Like,
you didn't ask for productive running backs.
Right.
You asked who he had. He's got.
Yeah, exactly.
well,
But that's
no,
just the thing. Like,
but
you have picks. You use your picks. You shouldn't.
that's
Like,
I don't.
But that's the scarcity of a 32 team league. Like, and also we only, like, most of us only start one running back. Like, we're going to find production elsewhere, like wide receiver, tight end. Like, you don't need to start two running backs. So if you have one stud running back and an acceptable running back too, like, you're fine. And like, any extra value should probably just be pushed somewhere else.
Yeah,
Sure,
Jacobs
like,
is probably the smarter running back to sell.
right.
but if you have all your picks, why wouldn't you just exhaust your picks first and keep a handcuff at a position that we all agree is hard to have?
Because I'm too lazy to look and see what picks they have, so I'm only suggesting players.
And I mean, realistically, like, we're at this stage where, like, I mean, honestly, moving a pick for a player is hard right now. That your universe of teams that are interested in that kind of selling is quite small at the moment.
His name is Rams, and he has an
Yeah.
Andrews.
That's true. That is a good one. That is a good one.
I do enjoy RJ's drunken boxing style of debate right now. Why don't you look at this and think about this? Because I'm too lazy to.
Yeah,
Because I don't feel like it. Okay.
simple answer.
On to the next one. So, does Titans really have enough to win this division right now?
Yeah, he
I
has
think so.
he has a respectable core on offense. He's you could say he's like shallow, but he's got like 2 to 3 productive players at every position. So yeah, as long as something terrible doesn't happen to Baker or one of his wide receivers, he looks like a really good team.
I mean, yeah, I think he's the kind of team that, like, can't really survive an injury. But if his whole, like, offense stays healthy, it's. I mean, you have McCaffrey, like, he could just win it for you, drag your butt to the Super Bowl that you had no business being in.
Yeah. CMC does that quite a bit.
Yeah. He's got this new player, Josh Hines Allen. Here, he's pretty good.
The only issue is he's only got one edge, really.
Yeah.
But he's got draft capital. He can fix it.
Yeah, his only thing is, like, he did that, like, month of building a team and then hasn't done anything since.
Well, he bought it so early in the offseason that, like, most of the players have retained their value, but, like, some of the linebackers have kind of They're a little bit less appealing.
Yeah.
I mean,
He,
overall, he's a good team. He doesn't
He has
have
a
any
decent set of
anything to
picks
move.
too.
He has picks.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He has
No,
three
he can
thirds
easily-
this year, and all
He's
of
got
his 26
3/3, and then
picks.
he's got his set for 2026.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah. No, he can easily buy an edge. He can easily buy a linebacker. He can easily buy what he needs. Like, that's the thing. Him and Jacksonville can both kind of just wait, fill in here and there, and then figure out who's going to win the division. See if McCaffrey gets a big injury. See if someone gets a big injury, and then closer to trade deadline, those two teams, if they want to go all in to try to win it, they can.
Yeah, it's kind
Yeah,
of like an anti-arms race. Like they're just
they're in
they're
a
just
cold,
sitting
they're in a
on these
cold,
assets. Yeah, the
yeah,
Cold War. There you go.
It's Cold War. So what he should do is see how it plays out early, and then probably dump Cunningham to free up cap space and use his picks to get a couple vet defensive ends and bolster that. And then I think his team's pretty good.
And there's always a get out of jail free card of like, let's break down McCaffrey for depth needed elsewhere. If he needed to go nuclear.
The only player where age doesn't apply.
I would buy McCaffrey.
I would too.
That's what I'm saying. A 28-year-old running back, and
Yeah.
all 31
I would-
other teams would be like, "All right, yeah, I'll buy him."
I would pay full price for him. Like, it's yeah.
You got him right there. Bijan.
Mhm.
No. I'm dreaming of Bijan and McCaffrey both scoring points. Like, imagine.
Come on, guys, give it
Chris,
PG.
get a room. My God.
Just have to get rid of Garrett Wilson. That's all.
Yep, I'd have to get rid of someone else that I love.
All right. Now that we got Chris all hot and bothered, let's talk about the Bills.
I'm thinking of plans.
Chicago room won't do it. Sorry.
No.
The Bills. I feel like this team is sort of in the same boat as Colts, where it's like, I mean, he's got his first this year and he's got all of his 26 picks. And like he's at this point where his roster could just go either way. Like he could buy a couple pieces and be pretty competitive. Or he could consider just trying to capitalize high on, the value of Crosby still at $5 million, TJ Watt before he gets too close to 30 as in like 3 months. Yeah, I mean he's got some like pretty decent pieces. But like there's just a lack of depth kind of everywhere.
With this team, I'm taking all of his offensive pieces and I'm trying to turn them into safer offensive pieces. Take some of those running backs, package them together for running backs that probably aren't going to lose their jobs, or aren't going to, lose their production, I should say. I would turn Rashad Bateman into something that's not Rashad Bateman. Like, do anything with him, but turn him into a guy that's actually going to get 500 receiving yards.
He's done it before.
500?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, his rookie year, 515.
His rookie year.
Got you good, Fokker.
Like that's my only thing. Like I turn Tony Pollard and I don't know AJ Dillon. No, he's probably the running back 3 there at this point. Tony Pollard and Rico Dowdle into a better running back.
Yeah, but like
Somebody else
what
that
are you
has-
getting for like the corpse of Tony Pollard and the second/third string that nobody wants in Dallas?
Zach Moss?
Maybe.
But I think you just keep Pollard over Moss. Like I think it's just like he's just cheaper, like kind of the same player.
Oh yeah. See, like we may just have different assumptions on like how the season's gonna pan out for Pollard.
Yeah. Yeah, this is kind of an interesting. I mean, it would be really fun if, kind of also in a somewhat winnable division here. Like Jets is obviously the only other like competition in the division, but Jets I think is quite strong. But like it'd be fun to like see him to spend these picks and try and add that like receiver, upgrade at running back, and add just a couple of depth pieces around his defense. But I
Yeah.
don't know. He's kind of been notoriously like inactive until he's active for like a night.
Yeah,
But
he just needs to sell, in my opinion. I don't think he's going to do enough work to get anything done that's going to make any difference. A guy like TJ Watt, just sell him. Like, sell anything and everything on the offense and defensive side of the ball. The only person I'm probably keeping is Crosby and Quay Walker.
Yeah.
One thing I will say is Eric's always done a good job of filling the defense, especially with undervalued guys or kind of diamonds in the rough. So I agree, it's a sell, but it's let's sell the pieces that make sense to sell right now. It's the DMs like you guys are talking about. I'd hold the running backs because I think these aren't attractive names, but I think a group like this gets you RB1 and maybe an RB2 performance on a given week. Because one of them on any given week is going to get either more touches or high value touches or whatever, and it's going to break something for, double-digit points, and the other one's going to be darn close. So it's not super sexy. It's not going to, win you the league, but it's going to get you production there. And if somebody pops or somebody gets hurt in front of one of them, whammo, time to sell. Same thing for the receivers. I think it's, Njoku and the pass rushers are who I'm targeting to sell right now. And in return, it's, give me either secondhand goods at some of these positions that I can add to the pot of people who can, score for me on a weekly basis, or obviously picks. But again, those are interesting to get right now.
Yeah. I was thinking about like Pollard and Tyler Algier for the Chicago room, Chris. I don't know if the combo of those two with the Bijan background.
I don't know if that's the amount of production you'd want to expect if you're trading Algier and Pollard. Like I would actually want more than like one room of like like a platoon. Like if I'm doing that, I'm going for like somebody that we expect is going to have a massive workload. Ramondre maybe.
Yeah. Well, Chiefs would do a 2-for-1 there.
Right.
But it sounded like, Chris, you wouldn't even do that.
I wouldn't even do that. I might be. I like the handcuff since I do have the room and that's how it worked out. But like from the Bijan perspective, I'd rather spend my capital elsewhere than have his handcuff or backup. Since I don't already own him at this point in the off season, like.
Can I interest you in Sam Darnold?
When I say package the running backs, like I also mean like if he wanted to do like AJ Dillon, Rico Dowdle, Eric Gray, because like Gray has some type of we don't know what's going to happen in New York, so he's worth more than nothing right now. Same thing with Dowdle. Like, sure, they signed Zeke, but like we don't think Zeke's going to be 1,000-yard rusher. So is he going to get an opportunity? Well, probably sell Dowdle while he's worth like roughly a third. Let's call it. Same with AJ Dillon. Sell him before we figure out that Lloyd's going to take all his workload. And like, could you get? I don't know what you could get for those three, but could you get something that will put up more points than they will combine?
I think we need to start like a spreadsheet of like our off-season predictions and hot takes on different players and rookies, because over the months here, all of us have had some wildly different opinions on what's going to happen, especially with new players coming in.
Does ESPN track their talking heads track records?
No, but we should. It would be fun to look back on.
Or what was it, the old what they used to do for ESPN when Barry was there. They would do board bets. So and so is going to do this. Put it on the board.
I think we have to start doing that.
That also means somebody has to start tracking it, not it.
That sounds like a lot of work.
Usually these kind of podcast things, like they have a willing listener who will track this stuff for them.
I think we could bundle in some AI and have it join and do like recap notes for us. I'll track it for us. I'll take a look at
That's
that.
the product manager right there, guys.
We've got a note taker that joins our our company meetings now that does all like the recaps and the action points for us. It's actually really nice.
We need like a keyword, like hot take alert. Get a sound effect
of Giant saying hot take alert.
RJ, what if it was like Darius Slayton and Bradley Chubb for TJ Watt?
Breaks his finger.
I mean, I'd do that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, breaks his finger.
We've been talking about how Slayton's going to lose his job to Hyatt all day.
It's kind of like there's just not a lot of edge buyers right now in the market to me. Like Ravens to me is the biggest, just needs to buy an edge guy in the league.
All right, let's get through these next couple here quickly. Next one, Dolphins trade picks. Anything else?
Can you find a Purdy buyer? Yeah.
Me over here.
Literally Google every name, and if there's more than 2 articles about preseason hype, sell.
Yeah, I think if he could move Purdy, I mean, obviously, Mike, I think your team makes sense. That could be worthwhile, just to, like, guarantee that he's looking at the 101. I think he's pretty much got that anyways, because most of the other tanking teams have a couple of pieces that are going to be point getters for them.
How dare you say that about my team?
You currently are sitting on a starting quarterback, so I hear.
God damn it.
Yeah, that's my take on Dolphins.
All right. JETS.
Do nothing and win your division. Congratulations.
This is an easy one. You run to Steelers and you beg him to trade you Evan Hall, so you are actually safe at running back.
I thought you were gonna say figure out a way for him to buy James Cook.
Nope. No, just secure that room. The room's gonna be enough production. I think that's one of the few rooms where I'm just like, yeah, I'd buy everybody, because they are very much like, oh, Taylor's out, you get to run for 100 yards.
Yeah, I feel like this team is just really solid across the board. I agree. Like, there is no running back too. It's the Indiana room, so like just secure it so that you have it. And that bye week's gonna suck. Is that week 14? I guess don't even play in the wild card.
Hope that Vacky actually pops.
He's also got Houston on week 14.
Yeah, he has no team the first week of our playoffs.
So he needs to buy, or
it's buy or bust.
Yeah, that
goes next year.
Rough. What picks does he have left?
Actually, what he should probably do is get rid of Stroud then. I mean, because of the bye.
Yeah, he has no choice but to send Stroud away.
Get rid of Stroud, get rid of Will Anderson, get rid of JT, get rid of Tank Dell. Yep. You know,
just trade Stroud to somebody like yeah.
There you go. Easy trade for Falcons. Anthony Richardson, Travis Etienne, and Zay Flowers for Stroud and Dell.
I like one of those sides better than the other, to be honest.
Yeah.
Aren't they all on bye?
I'm still. Oh gosh, that's terrible.
Was that the joke?
Yeah, that was the joke Mike was making.
I just got it.
I thought it was a joke. I can't check. I've got one screen and I can't flip between windows quick enough.
No, when even your punter's on a week 14 bye and you have that many superstars on that bye, I honestly think you just take your division, you shake hands, and you move on to the next year.
Yeah.
Because I'm not breaking down that many bona fide superstars to compete for a year.
I
That's
mean,
just-
realistically, like this team could get the bye. Like the
Good.
Bengals division is
No.
going to eat himself alive. They're all going to be kicking each other's teeth in.
And then they're all going to go undefeated the rest of the year.
Sure, I mean he's going to go 8-0 in division. The Jets
Hmm.
and or whatever 6-0 whatever, and then I don't know what his roster is playing. It can't be that strong because his team was.
He's not
that
getting
good
the
last year.
bye. There's no way.
It's a possibility, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
essentially bye week or bust for him this year. So he
And then he
either needs to.
Ravens, Broncos, Chiefs. Yeah, he's no.
Oh, he plays the North. Yeah, so no. Yeah, he's just
I
done.
mean, I think his roster's in the conversation with all of those teams.
He plays
Like-
me and Panthers late in the season.
So you guys will be back to take you by
I'm the fourth best team in the NFC South.
Hey,
Gone down a notch.
I don't know about that.
No, you upgraded by default after Saints sold his team.
Upgrade by default. Buck's team is in shambles. You'd probably beat him.
All right, Pat needs to break down things.
Yeah, he should sell everything.
No, he has the right idea. Like he's had Derek Brown on his trade bait. If I were him, I'd probably try to sell Mayer before we realize that he's going to be a blocker.
I think he needs to come back in 2027 when he has the first overall pick.
Yeah, just whatever old guys he has, try to turn them into young guys. Derek Brown's not old, but 26, turn him into somebody younger.
Yeah, I mean, he could break down like May and Marv. I don't know if he'll break down Marv.
No,
I don't think he'll ever.
Marv will
Yeah, it
stay
wasn't
on that
paid for
team
Marv.
forever.
I like some of his pieces. Like it's just the kind of team like if he had his picks, like he'd be in a really good spot.
I think he's in a decent spot. He has a whole bunch of young guys at every position.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think his best outcome for May is some quarterback he likes better, who everyone likes better, just dies. And then May starts, and his first game he starts, he throws 3 screen passes for 3 touchdowns, and someone just doesn't watch.
I like May. I think May's a solid QB, but I see what you're saying where he can.
What do you got against May there, Panthers?
If he throws
I'm not-
any amount of touchdowns,
I'm not
in his
saying he's
debut,
bad.
I'm
I'm just saying the Pats' offensive line and weapons,
Yeah.
you can't expect a lot of fantasy production there. So, Joe Burrow's thumb hurts again. All of a sudden, you come to him and you see May have 1 or 2 good games, and you just give him Burrow for May to get out of the $36, $37 million difference or whatever, and then he skips along happy that he got a better quarterback.
I mean, I got nothing against May, but I'd rather go with the 4-fingered Burrow. I mean, just amputate.
Yeah, he just happened to be in here, but just any of those higher end expected quarterbacks.
Got a 4-finger Burrow.
I just imagine
That was a hot take alert. Where's the other guy to get that?
No, I just imagine somebody telling Chris like they took his thumb off, and he's like, "God, I'll still take him."
Does he really need it? Oh, well, yes, to throw a ball, you probably do.
They just attach a club for the thumb just so you can get some tensile strength on it. There'll be training camp reports of him learning to throw left-handed.
What quarterback could you even trade May straight for right now? Like, I wouldn't give you Goff. I wouldn't give you.
decent one. Like not like it kind of depends on your team.
Well,
Not
Goff's
in
got his
Buck's
contract.
situation.
He's got proven this, that, and the other. And Goff's contract's not bad. So I wouldn't do Goff.
Yeah, Goff is a very safe QB. Like he'll never be the top guy, but he's not gonna lose games for you either.
Like Baker and Tua makes sense.
About
The
Dak.
Seattle
Dak.
stack.
I was thinking Dak.
Yeah. Would you really want to give up on May for Dak already, though?
No,
Because if the bar is that low, that'd be.
No,
Yeah.
we're just giving you You asked for possibilities.
I mean,
not
if I
for-
had May, I wouldn't have traded. I wouldn't trade him for Baker.
Yeah, if the rest of Patriots team does well and he finds himself in the lead in his division and he needs a slightly better quarterback, then he definitely has options.
yeah, I think you're probably talking like not Love, but maybe the quarterback before. Like Purdy would, if Purdy's contract was fine, stupid.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of a match made in heaven, right? he gets Purdy back.
Oh man,
He does have 88 million cap
Is it
space.
possible? Like, is this
Yeah.
a real thing?
He could do it.
Okay, so.
No, I hope he doesn't.
Trade May for Purdy and
Uche Stills.
and Simmons.
Isaiah Simmons. Yeah, he's got the contracts to Bud Dupree, Brandon Jones. Sure.
Boom.
Roman Coke, do it. All right.
Broncos. Right?
Get another receiver.
Yeah, I think he knows that.
he does know that.
I would say a defensive end too.
I get the sense that Bill's just ignoring us for a little while.
Yeah, where is good old Bill? He's been gone longer than me.
I feel like he's probably trying to take something out of your book, Chris, where it's hey, if I don't log in and look at my team, I can't do anything to my team.
There's something to that.
If I don't touch things, things stay as they are.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not
Sometimes
true, though.
patience is necessary.
Bill's
Yeah, I
not a
think-
patient man. He'll be back.
Receiver too. I mean, I like Lockett. It's just he's productive but old, and with JSN potentially rising, simmer down there, Chris. I would
I own that
definitely
guy.
want. Yeah, because
Drifting off for a moment.
seemed like you can't trade him. You're allergic to the accept button. I'm sorry.
I'll take him.
No, it's just, you don't want to know the price.
I think
I think his edge room's honestly fine. There's enough snaps in there. It's not pretty. It's not going to be one of the best. But it's.
yeah.
I think
I'd say
we can get
trade
them.
trade Jonathan Brooks for a good receiver. Like he's gonna have the rookie hype coming in.
I mean, he's been trying to do that, right? Like, that's been on his bait, literally. Brooks for
Oh yes,
receiver.
I know he's tried.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it just
just
depends on
try
the
harder.
receiver he can get.
Just do it.
Um,
Why don't you try doing it instead of not doing it?
I think that just comes down to what's your laundry list of what receivers are worth the 111.
yeah,
And if you shop around and you keep asking and no one's willing to do it, then you're kind of just stuck with Brooks until someone is.
All of the running backs that are roughly this, like around the same price as Brooks, that are worth the 111, have been moved, and like the new owners are just happy having them, and the rest of them, it's gonna cost them like $9 million more.
Yep.
Let's see, what's his? I mean, he could always offer Brooks, and then does he have another? Should he get another tough contract? He's got Rankins, Farrell, Hicks. Can't really move a bad contract.
I mean, I feel like him and Ravens could be, Brooks for
I was thinking, yeah, basically Brooks for Reek.
Yeah.
But the problem is, he not only then needs to free up some space, he then needs to potentially find the money to extend him or get ready to have a nice little off-season bidding war.
I'm
If
sure the
Tyreek Hill
Purdy
can
scenario
break
won't happen
Purdy
again.
money.
I mean, he could do like Brooks and Kelsey for Reek and favorite tight end from that room.
Cole Kmet.
Yeah,
Komet.
Komet or something like that. Yeah, like
You do Aaron Jones and Cooper Cup to give the Packers the Carolina full running back room?
No, he traded Aaron Jones to the Packers.
Oh, okay.
That was how we got Derrick Henry and Travis Kelce.
yeah.
So he made his team ancient.
Mm-hmm.
Tyreek needs to be on that team. Just fits the mold.
Yeah.
One maybe 2 year window. Is that the mold?
Well, you know Bill.
No, Bill will turn all of these guys into 26-year-olds next offseason and then decide if he wants to sell them off.
Not
Next
if half of
offseason,
them
it might happen
retired.
at the trade deadline.
Maybe.
What about ETN and Curtis Samuel?
For
For his
For-
whole offense.
For Brooks. Gives Falcons the reset on the contract.
I'd rather have the combo, I think, than Brooks.
I think I'd rather have ETN over Brooks, just straight
yeah,
up.
just straight
Yep.
up. Yeah.
You think
The
they're
contract-
actually
it's
going
going
to
to be like 18 or 20 mil next year. Like that's like the only consideration with ETN.
He's
Well,
probably
the other
one of the few running
consideration is
backs.
what happens to him actually in Jacksonville? Because we're coming up on that his contract.
Yep, Tank Bigsby season, boys.
And he's probably going to get a good contract there or elsewhere. He's so good at so many things. Like
ETN
he'll
is
just
Yeah.
ETN will always have a role just as a pass catcher, right? Like even if he's
Right.
not grinding on first and second down, like he's on the field.
yeah, he's one of the best pass blocking running backs in the league. Like he's
Just imagine
just
him on the Chiefs. Ugh.
Would you send him to the commies for Leggett, Pearsall, or Polk with like an edge in return as well?
for all of them, yes.
No, like let's say like Quiddy Pay plus Leggett.
Probably not. For
Talking about Brooks?
For Brooks, I think I'd rather have Brooks in that combo. But
yeah.
That's kind of crazy.
It's
because
an
we're talking about
interesting idea, though. Yeah.
We're talking about what?
6 draft spots.
Yep.
So
That's where Leggett went.
Leggett went 17.
Wow.
Polk went 18, and the other one went 20.
Look, just because someone took Leggett in the wrong spot doesn't mean that.
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
yeah.
I
I
think
get that. I'm
Leggett's
just
a
saying.
monster.
yeah, yeah.
Like, there's a high likelihood that he just ends up being the Quentin Johnson this year.
Yeah.
Well, it's a bit early for someone to be like, oh, yeah, this just happened. We haven't had training camp yet. Whoopsies. I'll take 50 cents on the dollar for him.
Yeah.
So are we at the point in the podcast where I can say I don't think Quiddy Pay is actually very good? Have we made it there?
Hot take alert.
Wow.
Are you
Until
saying
Mike-
that Deo is
Until
going to
Mike
get the
records that,
extension
I'm
with
going to have to
Quiddy?
just keep saying it.
I'm saying I
know
don't
how to
actually
feel.
think he's that good.
Let's talk about the Chargers.
I think it's honestly going to be really interesting because the Colts have Deo, they have Quiddy, and now they have UCLA boy. So it's going to be interesting to see who loses out on that snap share.
It'll be Deo for sure, but
No,
Quiddy's not like the pass rushing, like all-star, but he's just all around pretty solid.
They'll move him inside on pass rushing downs. They'll move him to D tackle next to Buckner, and then the other guys on the outside.
Are you telling me everybody has a NASCAR package now?
Yep. So I don't know if you heard about this, but this league likes to copy
Yep.
teams that are doing things well and try and do them themselves, even if it's not as effective. If it doesn't work, they look at the next fad and do that instead.
Look how many wide receivers almost died the year after Debo started taking rushing attempts.
Oh,
Hey,
man.
Ty Montgomery did it first.
Oh, I remember
That's
him.
true.
He changed positions.
Yeah, I know. So did Tony Pollard.
Really, Tavon Austin did it first. Come on.
If only Tavon didn't go to Jeff Fisher's. Uncreative man.
All right,
Still-
we
still
still got to
some
do
strong command-
Chargers.
Ah,
We still have to do
But-
like
but-
3 teams.
No.
yeah.
Oh yeah, we do. We have Chiefs and Raiders after this. All right.
Yeah.
I'm
Let's
trying to
knock
move
this
you guys
out.
along, but you guys are,
They started talking about defensive ends.
oh, I mean, God
Okay,
forbid.
before we move on from defensive ends, I know I'm completely derailing this pod, but that's what happens when I join. Looking at the Commanders' defensive ends, who do you have? Who do you have on your ranking? Like, what order do you have the top 3 in? And Quiddy Pay better not be in the top 3.
He's not.
The
Yeah.
defensive ends.
Mine would go because of age, Bosa, Garrett,
Burns.
But if I was just for this year, it would be Garrett, Bosa, Burns.
Mine's actually Nick, Brian, and Garrett. Straight down.
I mean, are we talking about in this league or just?
Yeah, the league.
Yeah,
At least that's the thing. Yeah, that Burns contract, I just love it way too
Yeah.
much.
Burns is
It's
number 1.
not putting over Miles. Just the age, the half the price. I'd take Burns over Miles.
It's going to be a tragic day on one of the doubleheader weeks when all 3 of those guys end up with like a 2+ sack day and his defensive end room drops like 100 points by themselves.
Yeah, and then he'll score 110 points.
So Chargers is your dumping team, 83 million in cap space, 7 million in contract years. So kind of like you were saying earlier, this is the team that can and should start accepting contract dumps to teams who need to get rid of some things. We really don't need to talk about Goose trades because Goose is his own, trade machine. He just kind of logs on, hits the 2K, I want to trade this guy, and 29 different trades generate themselves, and out they go.
I mean, I'm honestly baffled he hasn't come to you, or maybe he has, for Spencer Rattler.
Oh, he hits him.
He hates him?
Yeah.
Oh, well, then maybe he should move on from Derek Carr.
Yeah, he needs to find another quarterback.
His current darling is Colby Parkinson. I average about 6 offers a week.
I don't know if
Stay
it's
strong,
a
fellas.
territory.
Stay strong.
I'm now on the Goose no trade list. If you'd like to figure out how to achieve such a status, slide in my DMs.
I will say
The irony in that is just mind-boggling.
I will say I know we've said that in this offseason that his team didn't look that great, but it's starting to come around and look like a good Goose team.
It's about that time of off-season that it normally does.
I just wish he would get one stud receiver.
He has
Just
Trey
one.
Palmer.
No. He's
Gabe
got a
Davis.
bunch of third string guys. Just get one number 1 receiver.
His wide receiver coach in Jacksonville, I said Gabe Davis is doing dirty so BTJ can get open deep.
James, I think your internet's going to bed.
All right.
Raiders.
Raiders, Jacoby Brissett for something.
And add a starting running back and a tight end.
No, that's plenty of depth. He's good to go.
He's fine.
All right. We give everyone the equal amount of time and equal amount of depth there. I appreciate all that, guys. 2-hour podcast. Dear freaking God. All right. Well, you know what? We've been late a couple of times this year, so this makes up for all those. And we've actually had 1 or 2 people on watching the entire time, which is pretty impressive, I gotta say.
It's not bad.
We're part of a psychological study.
I can't believe there's people watching by the end of this. This is 2 hours of people talking about a fake league for football that's not going to be played for another couple months. That's impressive.
We're really entertaining. No, we're not. But, at least we entertain ourselves, and that's all that kind of matters. But we've crossed the 2-hour mark, so it's time for us to get to the fun part. So until next time, more trade.